Hey there, nomads of lore.
Hope.
Strife.
War.
Peace.
Corruption.
Betrayal. And just a little bit of the lost city of Atlantis influence. Those are the topics of today's Mead and Mischief video here at your home away from no home.
If you read the title before clicking, you know that we are talking about the Numenoreans, the powerful race of men from Tolkien's Legendarium. But remember, this is lore bits, not everything there is to know about the Numenoreans.
Eru Iluvatar, the omnipowerful creator god of Tolkien's Legendarium, created two races. The first were the elves, wise, beautiful, and virtually immortal. The second born of Eru were the men, first called Edain by the elves. The men were given the gift of mortality. Later, they would consider it a curse. In the first age, the free peoples would fight against Morgoth, a corrupted Valar who desired power and domination, and dared to challenge the other Valar and even Iluvatar himself.
The Valar are essentially the chief gods of Middle-earth. They joined Eru in his creation song. Under them are the Malar, who are basically demigods, and then there are the free peoples, the elves, the men, the hobbits, ents, and the like.
During that time, alliances between men and elves were made. As a product of those alliances and unions, there were born two half-elven sons, Elrond and Elros. Those sons were given the choice to join the elves and become immortal, or to join the men and accept their gift of mortality. As you may know, Elrond chose the former, whereas Elros chose to join the men. After the last battle with Morgoth, when the free peoples believed they had defeated Morgoth for good, the Valar decided to reward the works of men by raising for them out of the ocean an island between Middle-earth and Valinor, the Undying Realms. Elros would take his people to that island and form the kingdom of Numenor. His children and people would be known as the Numenoreans. They were a great and powerful people, blessed with long life, 3 times that of normal men. One of the only limitations placed upon them by the Valar was that they were not allowed to sail so far to the west that they couldn't see the shores of Numenor any longer, nor were they allowed to land and set foot upon Valinor, the Undying Lands.
It should be noted that the end of the War of Wrath and the founding of Numenor are the events which mark the beginning of the Second Age.
At the beginning of the Second Age, there was friendship between men and elves. However, as the years went on, the men became more and more jealous of the elves' immortality, and those friendships would begin to break down. And the kings of Numenor would begin to abandon the practice of taking elvish names. During those years, the Numenoreans would begin to explore and colonize other parts of Middle-earth. Their wealth and power would begin to grow. Also, their fear of death would increase, which ironically would cause their lifespans to decrease. The 25th king of Numenor, Ar-Pharazôn, would decide to attack Sauron and challenge him for dominion over Middle-earth.
Sauron was a Maiar. He originally served a Valar named Aule, but later he began to serve Morgoth and became his chief lieutenant. After the apparent defeat of Morgoth, Sauron became the new Dark Lord.
On the field of battle, Ar-Pharazôn and his forces were so powerful that Sauron's forces fled and Sauron was taken captive. However, instead of this being a great victory, it was one more step in the downfall of Numenor. Sauron, through his cunning, would move from being a captive all the way up to being the king's advisor.
I know what you're thinking, but this is the same Sauron that we see in The Lord of the Rings. However, at this time, he was a shapeshifter who was able to make himself lovely to behold. He was not just the scary eye tower that we see in the Lord of the Rings movies, or even the Black King that we see at the beginning of the films during the prologue.
Sauron whispered words of dissent to the king, and he slandered the elves and even the Valar. So, our Pharazôn set sail with his forces to attack the Valar in the Undying Realms. This angered Manwë, the king of the Valar and brother to Morgoth, and he sent eagle-shaped storm clouds to warn the Numenoreans of their impending doom. The Valar could not directly influence Middle-earth, and so they beseeched Iluvatar to intercede on their behalf. And so this became the one and only time that Eru acted directly in Middle-earth, and he caused waves to rise up and sink the island of Numenor.
See, we told you there was an Atlantis influence.
The only people to escape the destruction were Elendil and his sons Isildur and Anarion. Even Sauron's physical form was destroyed, and his spirit fled to Mordor, and he lost the ability to influence others through cunning, and would have to do it through fear and domination. Isildur and Anarion would go on to form the kingdoms of Arnor in the north and Gondor in the south. This was the end of the mighty Numenorean people, but their descendants would go on to join the elves yet again in the War of the Last Alliance, where they would defeat Sauron, and Isildur would cut the ring of power from his finger.
Please like, comment, and share the video. Also subscribe and ring the bell so you know when we drop more content for you nomads. Peace out.